The world thought they were witnessing a miracle, but the truth was hiding in plain sight when a trembling 13-year-old stepped onto the world's biggest stage. It was the moment that defined a year of television. The shy, stuttering Courtney Hadwin, seemingly plucked from obscurity, transforming into a soulful powerhouse that left the judges paralyzed in their seats. But as the clip went viral, surpassing hundreds of millions of views, the investigation into her discovery began to reveal a much more complex reality. While the broadcast painted a picture of an untrained girl from a quiet village who had never found her voice, international records told a different story. Courtney had already been a seasoned competitor, having fought her way to the finals of The Voice Kids UK just months prior. This wasn't a girl who didn't know she was good. This was a girl who had already been through the professional ringer. The backlash was swift and unforgiving, with critics accusing the production of manufacturing a false underdog narrative to manipulate the audience's emotions. This wasn't just about a singer. It was about the ethics of reality television and how far a network would go to create a perfect viral moment. The deception, as many called it, created a rift in her fanbase before she even had a chance to release an original song. People began to question if the nerves were real, or if they were watching a carefully choreographed performance designed to trigger Simon Cowell's golden buzzer. This skepticism would follow her for years, casting a shadow over her immense talent and forcing a young girl to defend her character while most kids her age were just trying to pass middle school. But the controversy on screen was nothing compared to the industry traps waiting for her once the cameras were packed away. Behind the flashing lights of the AGT stage, a legal document was being signed that would effectively silence Courtney for years and transform her dream into a restrictive reality. Winning over the hearts of America led directly to a high-stakes partnership with Simon Cowell's Syco Music and Arista Records, a move that should have signaled the birth of a global icon. Instead, the industry watched in confusion as one of the most talked-about talents in history seemingly fell off the face of the earth. Rumors began to circulate within the music business about creative differences and developmental purgatory. In the world of major labels, a developmental deal can often become a golden cage where artists are kept on a shelf to prevent competitors from signing them, while the label waits for the perfect market conditions that may never arrive. Courtney wasn't releasing the rock and roll anthems her fans expected. Instead, she was trapped in a cycle of covers and infrequent updates that left her momentum dying on the vine. Close observers of her career began to notice a pattern of frustration in her social media presence, hinting at a lack of agency over her own sound. She was being marketed as a legacy act, a new Janis Joplin, which essentially stripped her of her own identity before she could even form one. The weight of being a tribute, rather than an original artist, began to take a toll. While her peers were building modern brands, Courtney was stuck in a time capsule, forced to sing songs from 50 years ago because that was the brand the executives believed would sell. This period of stagnation wasn't just a career lull. It was a battle for the soul of her artistry, a conflict that happens far more often in the dark corners of the music industry than any talent show would ever care to admit to its viewers. Being the most famous teenager on the planet comes with a price that isn't paid in dollars, but in sanity, and Courtney was about to receive the bill in full. As her audition continued to cycle through every corner of the internet, the young singer became the target of a specific, vitriolic type of online harassment that few adults could handle, let alone a child. Critics mocked her unconventional movements, her wild hair, and her vocal style, often using language that bordered on the cruel. The digital landscape turned into a battlefield where every move she made was scrutinized for authenticity. This pressure created a mental health crisis behind the scenes that was carefully hidden from the public eye. Reports emerged that the young star was struggling with the massive gap between her viral persona and the reality of her everyday life. She was a girl who just wanted to sing, but she had become a property owned by the public's perception. The isolation of fame at such a young age is a documented phenomenon that often leads to devastating outcomes. And for a while, it looked like Courtney might become another statistic in the long history of child stars who couldn't survive the transition to adulthood. She stopped posting, the updates became colder, and the vibrant energy that had defined her stage presence seemed to flicker out. It was during this dark chapter that the whispers began, rumors that she was offed by the industry or that she had succumbed to the pressures of the lifestyle. While these speculations were unfounded, they highlighted the public's morbid fascination with the downfall of young talent. What the world didn't realize was that she wasn't disappearing. She was retreating to find a version of herself that didn't belong to a television network or a record label, preparing for a comeback that would leave her innocent schoolgirl image in the dust forever. To save her career, Courtney Hadwin had to do the one thing her fans dreaded. She had to kill the girl they fell in love with and rebuild herself from the wreckage. By the time 2024 rolled around, the industry had almost written her off, but Courtney was busy orchestrating one of the most aggressive rebrands in modern music history. She scrubbed her past, distanced herself from the Janis Joplin comparisons, and emerged with a gritty, avant-garde aesthetic that felt more like London underground than Hollywood mainstream. This wasn't just a change in clothes, it was a total reclamation of her narrative. She left the major label system behind, choosing the path of an independent artist where she could finally speak her truth without a filter. Her debut album, Miss Jagged, wasn't a collection of radio-friendly pop hits. It was a distorted, loud, and unapologetic statement of independence. The shock among her original AGT fanbase was palpable. Many who had followed her as a cute, novelty act were horrified by the dark themes and raw energy of her new direction. But for Courtney, this was the only way to survive. She had spent half a decade being told what to wear and how to scream, and the new music was a direct response to that suppression. She began performing in small, sweaty clubs, far away from the polished stages of television, proving that she was willing to start from zero to keep her integrity. This period marked her transition from a product to a person, a move that is notoriously difficult to pull off once the world has already decided who you are. The rebranding was a gamble that could have ended her career instantly, but it instead sparked a new kind of cult following, one that valued her voice over her viral potential. She was no longer a schoolgirl with a secret. She was a woman with a mission to expose the machinery that tried to break her. Her latest lyrics aren't just art. They are a direct indictment of the people who tried to control her and the personal relationships that nearly led to her total collapse. As Courtney's new music began to hit the charts in 2025, fans were quick to notice a recurring theme of betrayal and toxic dynamics. In a series of candid interviews, she hinted at a period in her late teens where she was involved in a situationship that mirrored the manipulation she felt from the music industry. She spoke about being gaslit and told she was nothing without the people who discovered her. These revelations added a layer of chilling reality to her songs, transforming her from a performer into a survivor in the eyes of her audience. The narrative shifted from her being a lucky girl who won a talent show to a young woman who had fought her way out of a psychological trap. Her lyrics touched on themes of being exposed and used, terms that many interpreted as a commentary on her time in the reality TV spotlight. Recent speculations suggest that these conflicts weren't just personal, but extended to her inner circle, creating a sense of isolation that fueled her creative fire. She wasn't just singing about heartbreak. She was singing about the loss of her childhood and the monsters that hide in plain sight within the entertainment world. This raw honesty resonated with a new generation of listeners who prioritize vulnerability over perfection. Courtney's journey had become a mirror for anyone who had ever felt silenced or managed, and her refusal to play nice with her past made her a polarizing figure once again. But this time, the controversy was on her terms. She wasn't a victim of a story anymore. She was the one holding the pen, and she was making sure every word burned the people who had tried to extinguish her flame. In an era of disposable fame, Courtney Hadwin's story serves as a chilling reminder of what happens when the camera stops rolling, and the next big thing becomes yesterday's news. Her journey from the most-watched audition in history to an independent rock outsider is a blueprint for the modern age of celebrity, a cautionary tale about the dangers of viral success and the resilience required to outlive it. Many expected her to disappear to become another "Where Are They Now" segment on a late-night talk show, but Courtney defied the script. She traded the safety of $1 million contract for the uncertainty of the independent scene, choosing to be a nobody on her own terms rather than a somebody on Simon Cowell. This decision has sparked a massive debate about the future of talent shows and whether they actually help or hinder the artists they claim to discover. Is the golden buzzer a fast track to success, or is it a target on a young person's back? For Courtney, it was both. It gave her a platform that most artists dream of, but it also nearly cost her her identity and her peace of mind. As she continues to tour and release music that challenges the status quo, her legacy is being rewritten in real time. She is no longer just a girl who gave us chills with a cover song. She is a pioneer for artist rights in the digital age. Her story reminds us that behind every viral moment is a human being who has to live with the consequences long after we've scrolled to the next video. Courtney Hadwin didn't just survive the viral curse. She broke it, proving that the most powerful thing an artist can own isn't a record deal or a trophy, but their own story. The girl who was once afraid to speak has finally found something to say, and the world is finally forced to listen on her terms.